Then what are the derivatives of the fourth pouch? Fourth pouch. Superior parathyroid glands are from the fourth pouch, and the ultimobranchial body, and the ultimobranchial body gives rise to the parafollicular and the C cells of the thyroid gland. So this is very important to remember about the pharyngeal pouches and the arches, and what are the derivatives is the favorite question of the examiner. So doc, in summary you can remember, there is a tongue, the pharyngotympanic tube and the tympanic cavity pouch 1. Tonsillar sinus and surface epithelium of palatine tonsil is pouch 2. Parathyroid glands superior from the 4 and inferior from the 3. Thymus gland is from pouch 3. Ultimobranchial body, which gives rise to parafollicular and C cells of the thyroid gland, is from the pouch 4. This is one thing that you have to remember forever, ever and ever. Now doctor, what is the nerve supply of the area C? Actually in the question you should mention area C is what? So area C is fundamentally radial nerve. This area and this area. On the palmar surface, the little finger and half of the ring finger, and 2.5 fingers dorsally, right? Now, so this is the radial nerve, this is the ulnar nerve. So examiner actually asked radial nerve area. So actually he asked about B is the one which the examiner asked. Okay, now which nerve supplies the first lumbricals? Lumbricals का काम क्या है? You hold the hand like a serpent. What are you doing in this? Interphalangeal joint is extended. Metacarpophalangeal joint is flexed. So you can remember lumbricals by drawing the letter L, jara ulta karke. So these are what? Phalanges. These are metacarpals. So flexion at metacarpophalangeal joint, extension at interphalangeal joint. That is the function of lumbricals, is what you should remember. Now let us look into, good to see 50 online students. That's good. So every day evening 6 to 8 p.m. we have an interactive session, mainly to stimulate you. You know doctor, 1 ounce of inspiration from the teacher should make you to study a ton of material, a ton of study material with 1 ounce of inspiration. My job as a teacher is to inspire you every day, right? So evening 6 to 8 p.m. chai pe charcha. So doctor, lumbricals, from where do they arise? They originate from the lateral 2 tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus. Lumbrical 1 and 2. Lumbrical 3 and 4. Medial 3 tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus. And where do they finally insert? They don't insert into bone. They insert into, there is something called extensor expansion. Extensor expansion on the digit 2 to 5. And ultimately what do they do? flexion of the metacarpophalangeal and the extension of interphalangeal joint, and the radial two lumbricals are supplied by median nerve towards thumb. Towards the little finger, the medial two lumbricals are by ulnar nerve. That is a point you need to remember. Whereas if you take interossei also do the similar function like lumbricals. But all interossei, dorsal and ventral, palmar interossei, all of them are supplied by the ulnar nerve. That is a point you need to appreciate. Do you think out of this first 10 balls that we played, is there anything surprising? Is there anything enigmatic? Nothing. They are all predictable topics asked in the past quarter century. No special thing that it can be any bouncer. So doctor, if you are well prepared, 270 out of 300, you can do a batting and come, right? I want you to win 1000 plus score and a undivided defeat of the competition, and you should win and stand in the top 100 ranks. That is a goal. Now, physiology, let us see what are the questions of the examiner. How does ADH act? It is the aquaporin 2. Exam hall mein aap 3 or 4 bol ke soche to no one can help, because ADH is a favorite topic of examiner. Golgi tendon organ is basically stimulated by which of the following feature of the muscle? It is the tension of the muscle. There are two things that can stimulate our system. कितना मसल टेंस हो रहा है, दूसरा कितना स्ट्रेच हो रहा है. So there should be a way to sense the stretch. Otherwise, if I pull your hand, if your hand can extend simply like that, can it happen? If I say hi, how are you, and if I drag, if your hand get extended, it can't happen, no? So muscle stretch is identified. And if I put 100 kgs in your hand, your muscle should have a way to recognize the tone, right? So it is a tension. So doctor, this is very important. Where is the Golgi tendon organs are located, doctor? They are typically located at the point of the tendinous insertion on the bone. And there is a 1B afferent which arises from the Golgi tendon organ. Every time the tension, muscle tension is building, 1B afferent comes and tells the spinal cord, hey, this much tension is being generated. And in turn, there is a inhibitory interneuron which connect with the alpha motor neuron. Alpha motor neuron is the efferent. So the spinal cord sends alpha motor neuron and makes the muscle to become contracted. So the moment if there is any tension building, Golgi tendon organ through 1B afferent will be informing the spinal cord. Spinal cord in turn will lead to inhibition of the homonymous muscle and make it to relax. So that tension is managed. So that is very important. So doctor, there are two things that will identify what is happening at the level of the muscle and inform the spinal cord, and accordingly decide whether inhibition or stimulation of the muscle should be done. Okay. One is called muscle spindle, other is called the Golgi tendon organ. So इस चाय पे चर्चा सेशन में हम बहुत बार इसके बारे में very detailed discussion किया. Every time when you go to the exam, one of the top 50 topics in physiology is the stretch reflex, Golgi tendon organ, muscle spindle. आप महाज्ञानी रहना, नहीं तो examiner छोड़ेगा नहीं, right? All 1.5 lakh students know this concept. Be very sure. So if you do wrong means clean bold, right? Now, muscle spindle versus Golgi tendon organ. भाई इसके बारे में बात करेंगे. If you take the muscle, doctor, in the middle of the muscle there are something called intrafusal fibers. What is meant by fusal? Fusal means a bundle. So a bundle of fibers, intrafusal. Outside it, the core muscle fibers are there. They are called extrafusal fibers. Right? So where is muscle spindle? These intrafusal fibers of the muscle typically get modified and they form the muscle spindle. And the intrafusal fibers, they become specialized to form the muscle spindle. Here you can remember. So what are muscle spindle fibers? Intrafusal or extrafusal? Intrafusal. Typically, they are located parallel to this extrafusal fibers. So whenever the muscle gets stretched, the extrafusal fibers are stretched, that is sensed by these intrafusal fibers called muscle spindle. Then where is the Golgi tendon organ? Golgi tendon organ is basically a capsular structure, and at the point where muscle is attaching with the tendon, extrafusal fibers are the ones which form the Golgi tendon organ, and they detect the tension. What does muscle spindle detect? Stretch. This is very, very important for you to remember. Now doc, give me the slide. Very good. 55 NEET PG pattern 2019 question paper means I am expecting at least 100 people to come. Every Thursday we have AIMS May 2014 paper. उसके बाद PGI का क्वेश्चन पेपर, देन जिपमर 2019 का पेपर डिस्कस करेंगे. 300 questions. Even if we discuss every Thursday evening 60 questions, we take 5 Thursdays to finish one paper. And these main papers, JIPMER, AIMS, PGI and NEET PG pattern, by the time we finish discussing, December आएगा. Every Thursday we will discuss. आराम से discuss करेंगे. आपके साथियों को भी लाना और ask them to join the onlinemmbbs.com. Thursday sessions we will try to make it free for all the people for your benefit, and remaining days there are everyday evening sessions are all locked, and I want you to join for the 120 days 600 hour program. If you want the details of the program, detailed schedule, what are the topics that are being discussed in this 120 day 600 hour program crash course, the 1000 topics discussed, you can call our helpline and they will help you to get the entire program schedule. Every day 5 hours you have to spend, you have to give to me. You give 600 hours to me and I will see that you are in the top 100 ranks. Now doc, Golgi tendon organ responds to the tension when the extrafusal fibers are contracting. Muscle spindle is basically very silent. Muscle spindle is basically silent during muscle contraction. Then Golgi tendon organ is the 1B afferent fibers. So this is how the Golgi tendon organ at the point of tendinous insertion, extrafusal fibers 1B afferent is what you should remember. Now let us talk about the muscle spindle. What is muscle spindle? I said intrafusal fibers. अच्छा, इसका story थोड़ा गंभीर है. 4 or 5 points intricately you should understand about muscle spindle. Fundamentally, if you take the muscle spindle, there are two types of fibers inside it which identify the stretch. One are called dynamic nuclear fibers, nuclear bag fibers. Then you have static nuclear bag fibers, and you have nuclear chain fibers. एक चेन है, एक बैग है, बैग में टू टाइप्स बैग है, एक डायनामिक न्यूक्लियर बैग है, दूसरा स्टैटिक न्यूक्लियर बैग. There are three types of things that are sensing the stretch. Now, doctor, why this is important to be remembered about muscle spindle? There are, whenever these are sensing the stretch, spinal cord is being informed by stretch ho raha hai bolke, it is informed. So this stretch information coming to the spinal cord from these three sensors comes through, is transmitted by two types of afferents. One is called as primary 1A afferent. Second is called secondary 2 afferent. Now, all the three fibers, what are the three fibers? Fatafat bolo. Dynamic nuclear bag, static nuclear bag, nuclear chain fibers, all the three are 1A afferents. Whereas the secondary 2 afferents are there, no, doctor. It is the static nuclear bag fiber and nuclear chain hai na, nuclear chain fiber. They are the ones, it is the secondary 2 afferent. Examiner पकड़ के आपको दिक्कत पहुंचाएगा अगर मालूम नहीं है तो. This is the same question repeatedly asked. First you should have a mental picture. What are the three types of fibers? Dynamic nuclear bag, static nuclear bag, nuclear chain. Primary 1A afferent, all the three. Secondary 2 afferent, it is the static nuclear bag and nuclear chain are the ones which are supplied, is what you need to remember. So this is the story of sensory innervation.